76 here at the ballpark. Lopez is hitting .302, and he's played very well for the Diamondbacks. They've been very pleased with how he has performed, as the folks are still filing in and getting that Albert Pujols t-shirt here at Busch Stadium. That's taken a little bit low. 2 balls, no strikes. 2 pitches, just a little bit low.
He's a switch hitter. He's batting .302 overall, but this guy has been a nice pickup for them.
2-1, and he can thank the Cardinals for picking him up last year and really gave him a spark back in his career.
You're absolutely right. And down the stretch last season, he was a terrific hitter. And
this is popped up on the 2-1 pitch. Brendan Ryan over, dives, and comes up just short in foul territory. Great effort.
Great effort there. The reason he came up a little short is he's playing him to pull a little bit. So a very long run for Brendan. All-out effort, just dives, and it comes up a few inches short from his glove. But we've seen spectacular defensive play from Brendan Ryan in the first half.
In many ways, a disappointing year this season for Arizona. Remember last year, they made it to the playoffs, and they had that young nucleus of talent that they've talked about for the last couple of years, but it hasn't come together this season. 2-2 ripped up the middle, and a base hit.
They got a very good baseball man and Bob Melvin fired, and an underachieving team, like you said, but they still have some pretty darn good athletes. Try to set up inside, ball over the middle of the plate, and hit right back up the middle. A.J. Hinch was their personnel director in charge of the minor leagues, and when he got the call to take over the big league club, it became his first game that he managed at any level.
It's hard to believe that he would start at this level.
Well, of course, he was a little, I talked to Tom Candiotti, their television analyst for the Diamondbacks, and he said, well, his very first game was kind of memorable too. He got to catch me, a knuckleballer, and he got to hit against Pedro Martinez in his prime.
And Pedro, just a couple of days ago, signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. A fly ball into right, backing up Ludwig. And the catch made right in front of the track. Back to first, Lopez. And it brings in B.J. Upton. And we talk about Pujols being the Cardinals MVP of the first half and probably the MVP of the National League. You have to look at Justin Upton and Mark Reynolds as 2 guys that really had pretty solid first halves of the season.
Well, that's what we're talking about. They have some superior athletes and still part of the maturing process. But Justin, he's right on that accelerated climb.
Upton was the National League's Player of the Month in May. Just an unbelievably talented family. You think about this guy here, Justin, and his brother is swiping bases every night with Tampa Bay. 0-1 pitch on its way. Tailing action in on the hands of the right-handed hitter.
It's kind of the cutter speed there at 86 miles an hour. But a young, inexperienced ball club like Arizona really should have problems against Carpenter and all of his weapons. They do steal bases, though, but you got Yachty behind the plate to neutralize that.
0-2 pitch. Blocked by Molina, 1-2.
And it's not Yachty. Most stolen bases are off the pitcher, and Carpenter, for a big man, has a very quick move and really holds those runners close at first.
Talked to longtime catcher Tom Pagnozzi today.
Did you?
Yeah, and one of the things that we were discussing is Molina's arm and how many Gold Gloves he may win. Pagnozzi won a couple, and there's always been that pretty good recent tradition of catchers when you think about Pagnozzi. And you see the stolen bases for Arizona, 69, and Mike Matheny became a Gold Glover when he got here after he was released a couple of times. Goodbye. Breaking ball and a strikeout. Tom is retired in Arkansas and enjoying it.
We've seen that great curveball, and usually he throws a much harder variety for a strikeout pitch. This one here just totally fools Upton, but that's almost like his get ahead first pitch breaking ball.
Here's Mark Reynolds. High in strikeouts, but he does hit some pretty good power numbers with 24 home runs. And the 62 driven in. Bobbled by Rasmus, and advancing on that play, Felipe Lopez to third base. So base hit by Reynolds, and it's runners at second and third. I was speaking with Colby before the game, and this is a base hit and an error on Colby. Said he really enjoyed the All-Star break. He was at FanFest, signed autographs one day. Said I was lifting a couple of times, but mostly just got some good meals in and relaxed. First full season now in the big leagues for Colby Rasmus. Not a bad first half for him either.
No, not at all, especially after a slow start. He's really picked up the pace, and Montero is on a tear.
Mentioned the top 5 surprises in the last 3 outings here for Chris Carpenter, but top 5 surprises. Do you agree with most that you saw there?
Yeah, I do. And I'm glad that you guys included Tony, because he's done an outstanding job having this team with all the injuries, having all the breaking in new players. He's done an outstanding job of getting this team to first place, and usually his teams finish strong the second half.
0-2 in the count here on Montero. Five home runs, 19 RBIs, and among major league catchers since June 27th. He's hitting .373. That's best in the big leagues. Trying to get him to chase that breaking ball and taken in the dirt. The Cubs lead Washington 3-1. That's in the 4th. Cincinnati and Milwaukee playing tonight. 1-0 already. The Reds, that's in the 4th as well. Jeff Suppan getting that start. Team maybe to watch out for in the second half. Recent history tells you to watch out. The Houston Astros.
I think this year you have to watch out for everybody in the Central Division. And as what you're talking about is the Houston last few years have pretty much owned the second half.
The strikeout of Montero. So 2 in the inning for Carpenter, and the Redbirds coming up in their half of the first. No score. In St. Louis, a couple of base hits by Arizona, but those runners stranded by Carpenter. A look at Tony La Russa's lineup tonight. Skip Schumacher, the second baseman, followed by Colby Rasmus, the center fielder, and then Albert Pujols. Ryan Ludwig, Chris Duncan, Yadier Molina, Joe Thurston, Chris Carpenter, and the shortstop batting ninth. That's Brendan Ryan. And this is John Garland, the Marshall Wireless starter for the Diamondbacks, and he has a record of 5-8.
He had a career high 6-game losing streak recently stopped. And they say the big problem for the first-year National Leaguer is he'll have one big bad inning.
Schumacher even 300 first half of the season. That's taken low and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Biggest problem early in the season for Arizona, it was the offense, but over the last couple of months, undoubtedly it has been their bullpen. And Blaine Boyer actually is now pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks,
That's right.
former Cardinal.
Well, one of the aspects too, and we'll see what's happened. Garland has committed 3 errors, but on the season, the Diamondbacks very porous with 80 errors overall. And if you have the big innings and you keep on committing errors, that'll lead to big innings.
It's pulled foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And they also definitely missed Brandon Webb.
Danny Herron will go tomorrow. Now, initially, A.J. Hinch said that Herron would start on Sunday afternoon. That's not the case. He'll get the start tomorrow. He's been the ace of their staff. Quality start in all but one of his starts. And at times he has been dominating this year. And you look at Danny Herron's ERA, it's been terrific. And there's a look at the all-star for the Diamondbacks, Danny Herron, 9-5 and a 2.01 ERA.
Well, you remember early in the season, he was giving up about 1 run a game, and not all of them were earned runs, and he was losing.
1-2 pitch. Hit sharply to right field and a base hit.
Cardinals have faced Garland one time earlier this season in Arizona, and he really got roughed up.
A look at the defense with Parra, Young, and Upton in the outfield. This is presented by Auto Tire. Reynolds, Drew, Lopez, Whitesell along the infield. And the battery tonight, Garland and Montero. So here's Colby Rasmus hitting in front of Albert Pujols in the 2nd spot in this lineup. And the players still sporting their mustaches, some a little bit more prominently than others.
Yeah, but we can see Kobe's now. At least on one side.
10 days of work there. Rasmus, potential double play. On to first, and they got him by a step. Boy, Lopez had to get that out of the glove quickly to Stephen Drew. 4-6-3 double play.
Wasn't hit particularly hard, and you know, Felipe's made 9 errors, but Stephen Drew, one of the more steady shortstops in the league with only 5.
Here's Albert Pujols. Here's his first half numbers. .332. The batting average, 32 home runs and 87 RBIs. And let's hope, Al, he's gotten a little bit of rest here the last couple of days. If anything, it looked like he was worn out during the All-Star game and really the home run contest as well.
I've got a question for you, Dan. It happened one time with McGuire in the home run derby, and this year with Albert. How important to them is Dave McKay?
Huge.
Because, you know, wasn't it obvious that
it just didn't seem like he was
have the same timing? They weren't in sync, and I mean, Dave McKay has thrown more home runs than anybody in history just to those 2 batters.
Here's a 1-1 pitch to Pujols. Swung on and missed. There's a look at the Cardinals first base coach, who throws BP specifically to Pujols and did so with Mark McGuire for years. 1-2 pitch. Trying to go inside, but low, 2-2. That pitch there you can live with. Pujols is not going to chase more times than not, but he's not going to hit that out of the park either.
Similar to the one that he swung at and over.
2-2. Inside again. And they strike out Albert Pujols. We head to the 2nd, and there's no score. To the game presented by Toyota.
You can see the best ERA by starters since July 1st. Arizona second, Cardinals the third, and we know how well the Cardinals starters have been during that time. Probably the big difference in the reason the Cardinals are played so well in July is the bullpen.
And this is Parra, left fielder, leading it off here in the second inning. Parra, Young, and Whitesell. Legendary newsman Walter Cronkite has passed away at the age of 92 as Pujols makes a nice play. Pass that along. Sad news.
Well, then we'll have to balance it out. There's some good news as Albert makes a nifty play showing that Gold Glove leather going to his left and down the line. And we'll say happy birthday to John Wallace. He's 75 today, one of the Cardinals' outstanding owners, and John Wallace really a good guy.
Chris Young hitting just 196. What has happened here with Young? Only 6 home runs, 25 RBIs. Got off to a very slow start this year. Let's see if now Carpenter really settles in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Good pitch. Down and in.
Carpenter rarely leaves anything over the middle of the plate, changes the eye level. He'll change speeds on guys. And yeah, he's just going to attack hitters. And as you said, Young hitting 196, but it's been much worse of late.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. And a strikeout. Third of the night for Chris Carpenter already. Only in inning number 2. Only the San Francisco Giants since July 1st have had a better team ERA and starters ERA than the Cardinals. If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv, and you can catch over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. So third strikeout this evening for Carpenter, and this is Whitesell. Takes a pitch outside. The 8th place hitter and first baseman. No home runs. He's driven in 9 and hitting .214.
Third different recall this time when they got rid of. Well, anyway, this kid, you know, is right now they say he is swinging at anything and everything all over the place. So this is not a good combination with Carpenter on the mound.
2 outs, nobody on, and here's a 1-1 pitch by Carpenter. Inside, backed him off the plate. Home plate umpire tonight, Marty Foster. Chris Tiller is over at first. Angel Campos at third base, and John Hirschbeck, he's the crew chief. He's at second base. 2-1 is just fouled. 2-2. We move to the bottom of the second. We'll have an update from Jim Hayes concerning any of the Cardinals that are injured. Some guys trying to make their way back from the minor leagues, like a Khalil Green, Troy Gloss. Where's Mark DeRosa sit? Some good news with him, so we'll find out more as he had the chance to visit with John Mozeliak in the pregame show. 2-2 pitch. On the ground to Albert. And some kids enjoying some Friday night baseball here at the ballpark as well. No score midway through 2. Kids catch Cardinals crew with Fred Bird and Andy Bennis tomorrow morning, and watch as Fred Bird stands in as the camera operator. It's Cardinals crew made possible by Shriners Hospital for Children. Airs Saturdays on Fox Sports Midwest, and we mentioned that Jim Hayes would join us, and he has, as Ryan Ludwig leads it off here in the bottom of the second. And Jim, let's start with Mark DeRosa, probably the one guy that's going to return the quickest of the guys that are out as Ludwig takes a ball outside. News on him is pretty good, isn't it?
Well, Dan, he's got that sheath ligament tear, and he took BP for the first time today. I talked to him briefly afterwards, and he said he felt great. John Mozeliak said on the pregame show that if he checked out tonight, we could see DeRosa as soon as tomorrow. So that's good news for the Cardinals.
That is great news. And of course, DeRosa has told us his preferred position is to play second base, but third base there's a need at times, and can play the outfield as well. So DeRosa looks like he's coming back a little bit quicker than maybe what some thought. And Jim, there is talk of surgery, but if that happens, it would be after the season, correct?
Yeah, DeRosa knows that there is a chance that down the road he'll have surgery. He said his goal for now is to do whatever it takes to be a guy who contributes. He's 0 for 9 as a Cardinal, and that just doesn't sit well with him. He wants to be part of it. 1
ball and 2 strikes on Ryan Ludwig. Finished with a tear in the first half and pulls it foul. How about Troy Gloss? Where do we stand with him?
Well, John Mozeliak told me that Troy Gloss is who's rehabbing from surgery. He'll be in Memphis starting a rehab stint, and I'm told that Troy is hitting well, but John Mozeliak said throwing is still a problem. There's still some pain, so they're going to use him at first base and experiment possibly with Gloss in the outfield, because he's having difficulty making the throw from third.
Interesting there, Al, to see him outfield.
Now he's having a trouble throwing the ball from third, so we'll try him in the outfield.
Jim?
I'm sorry, Al?
I said he's having trouble throwing from third beyond 60 feet, so we're going to put him in the outfield.
They're going to experiment a bunch of different ways. I also said first base, Al. There's some throwing at first base, not as much, though.
Yeah, I think we have a pretty good first baseman, though.
And that is fouled by Ludwig. And another one that we need to talk about. How about Khalil Green? Where does it stand with him, Jim? What did John have to say?
Khalil Green is starting a rehab with AA Springfield, and they're just going to leave that kind of open-ended. They already put him on a rehab assignment. Khalil had some short-term success, and then he's battling some emotional problems, so they're going to give him a lot of space and wait and see. But he does provide them an option down the road.
Hard hit to Mark Reynolds, and he makes the play. So Ludwig retired. Ricky Ankiel, there's been some talk about his shoulder and the possibility maybe that there's an issue with that. And I know you visited with John specifically about the shoulder of Ricky Ankiel.
John said that Ankiel's shoulder was checked out, and medically he's clear. He said that Rick is just going to have to battle through this, and he needs to do some strengthening in that shoulder, but otherwise it's not something that they consider surgical or serious.
And finally, you were trying to push John to make the trades before the deadline happens.
Wait, John, I mean, more so than you, Dan?
Oh, I'm just going to let Jim do all the pushing now.
No, I wasn't necessarily pushing for a trade, but trying to push him for some information as
Jim,
to whether or not they were serious about it. And, John said they're going to do their due diligence and look into it, although nothing is imminent.
All right. Good job, Jim. Thanks.
All right, guys.
1 ball and 2 strikes here on Chris Duncan. He is in left field tonight. And on deck, it's Yadier Molina. 1-2 pitch, swung on and missed. So strikeout number 2 tonight for John Garland. The Cardinals Alumni Kids Clinics are coming to Florissant on July 28th and 30th. Boys and girls ages 7 to 13 can learn baseball fundamentals from former Cardinals greats. For more information, number to call 345-9891 or visit stlcardinals.com.
About the big hit that Yachty got in the All-Star game.
Good to see, and Ryan Franklin was good.
Yeah.
Came in and had a strikeout in a scoreless inning. See the catcher Montero pointing to his front shoulder to keep it in. So 2 strikeouts so far.
Brian Parto, the Cardinals outstanding PR director, was telling me Yachty was just so nervous
ball, 1 strike as that's pulled foul. And let's take a look at his all-star nights. This was early on. Lincecum on the mound and a forced play at third. And then he would deliver with a base hit into center field to score the Mets' David Wright. How about the pace of the all-star game, too? About 2.5 hours. You don't normally get that in a regular season game.
Well, the pitchers dominated in that game, so it's going to be a little quicker pace. But
1 ball and 2 strikes.
the National League loses home field advantage again. Heath Bell, the losing pitcher from a team that won't go anywhere near postseason.
And the San Diego pitchers the last few years have had some tough luck. They've been on the losing ends of those games. It's been their pitchers specifically that have taken losses or been part of big innings against the National League. Right. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Outfield is straight away for Molina. And that's pulled off the bag. A fair ball and a base hit for Yachty. Second Cardinal hit tonight. Nothing that Mark Reynolds could do there.
Yeah, Reynolds is diving behind the bag, but it hits the bag and no chance. Stephen Drew recovers. And good to see Yachty start out this way. He's been, he had a little dry spell, but he's been picking up the pace of late. That's a 3-game hitting streak for him now, just 3 for his last 7.
So 2 outs and a runner at first base for Joe Thurston. Accomplishment for Joe to make it through the first half, as of course his career has been one that's been up and down, trips to the big leagues and the minor leagues. So 2 outs and a runner at first. You think about the first month of the season with Thurston and Brian Barden and what those 2 meant to the Cardinals. It was huge.
A lot of production from the tandem at third base, and Barden back down in the minor leagues. Joe trying to hold down the spot until DeRosa is activated.
Good play by Montero. That's good news, as Jim reported, that DeRosa could be activated as soon as tomorrow. And when he was first acquired by the Cardinals, he was seeing some of the toughest pitching in baseball. He could be activated and in a starting lineup tomorrow. Welcome back. You get Dan Herron.
Right. But I mean, it's a great trade for the Cardinals, and he's going to contribute big.
The 2-0 pitch to Thurston. A strike.
And say if you get Troy Glass back, DeRosa could go to second base, Schumacher could go to the outfield, or he could go into the outfield if you have a left-handed starter on the mound. Very versatile.
A 2-1 pitch on its way. Thurston, base hit into right field. This is one of those times where you have the pitcher batting 8th and you wish you had him batting 9th, as Carpenter will hit. So back-to-back singles.
Just pulls it through and into right field. And what would you say? I mean, in your mind, and we're not talking about any statistics, just talk about out of memory banks. Has it made a difference?
Tough to say. You know, Rick Hummel did an article, the Hall of Fame writer of the Post-Dispatch, I guess it was about a year ago when Tony was doing it every day. And in his research, wasn't much of a difference one way or another. I know what I prefer, and that's to have the pitcher batting 9th. That's my preference. But, you know, you can do it any way you want.
Just the beauty of the game. Everyone has an opinion.
And when you think about Tony, he's got Pujols he wants to have hit in the first inning and then make him more of a cleanup type hitter by having that 9th place hitter essentially be a second leadoff man. Here's the 0-1 pitch.
There's the Hall of Fame writer, Rick Hummel, just an outstanding writer and really a good guy. But I think the interesting thing is when Tony employs the pitcher in the 8th spot, many times it's him telling or him believing that his team is going to be offensively challenged. Beginning of the season, when they got off to a great offensive start, the pitcher batted ninth. But then when they hit June or hit May, the pitcher started batting eighth.
And an easy force play at second. And we played two. There's no score. West is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By the Casino Queen Hotel and Casino, home of the loosest slots. And by McDonald's. Better set your alarm. Sausage burritos are just $1.19 only at McDonald's. That shot right there taken by Tony West. And we want to thank Dave Gilbert for allowing us in that building to take that beautiful shot of downtown St. Louis and the Arch. This is the pitcher, John Garland. Carpenter, first time through this lineup. The ninth place hitter here has struck out 3 thus far and allowed 2 base hits. 1 ball, 1 strike. And a base hit into right for Garland.
His 3rd hit this season and 6th overall in his career. Happy birthday to Monica Albert. Monica down in Springfield, Missouri, celebrating her 23rd birthday. And happy birthday, Monica.
So at the pitcher at first base, and Lopez hitting from the left side. Pujols playing behind that runner at first, and Felipe is showing bunt. It's the kind of situation, if he's showing bunt with a pitcher at first base, you'll see the Cardinals be very aggressive trying to get that lead man.
Well, it's in this situation you commend the Cardinals and playing Pujols back. You know, if Garland wants to take off, you know, Yachty will gun him out.
That sliced the other way and a base hit. Garland to second and stops there. So back-to-back base hits going the other way. Want to make sure and say hello. They're watching tonight in Indiana. Chris back home and wish them nothing but the best. Can't wait to see him here at Busch Stadium and up in our booth.
That's right, Chris. You get those kids and yourself up here, and we'll do something special for them.
Absolutely. So bunted in the air and a play for Molina. And Thurston have to retreat to third base, make sure the runner wouldn't advance.
How big is that out?
Now you have Upton coming up, who has struck out tonight.
Stephen Drew, a good player and hitter, and here he big mistake bunting the ball in the air for an easy put out.
You could see that was a breaking ball that Carpenter threw too, as he bunted that one in the air.
You know, with proper technique, the breaking ball is easier to bunt than any other pitch. But if you're, if you don't have the proper technique, it's very easy to pop that ball up, or at least, hit it foul.
And Upton takes a strike at the knees.
Carpenter's already allowed 4 hits. He has had 3 strikeouts, including Upton his first time up. Got the double play in order, and he's got a lot of pitches to get ground balls.
And that's strike 2. 1 out, runners at first and second. No score, just underway. We're in the 3rd. After our homestand is complete, only 3 games, it's back out on the road again. And the Cardinals will face Houston, Washington, and then makeup date, which was initially an off day Thursday. And then we're in Philadelphia for the first of 3 on Friday night.
Last couple months, the Cardinals are going to be in relatively good shape with almost like the last 9 weeks. I think there's an off day every week. And the Cardinals have already played a major league high 91 games.
Really, it's been a brutal first half.
Truly.
The schedule.
But they weathered that storm, and as I say, this is going to be a real competitive race with about 5 clubs in the Central Division, all bunched up.
No team is great. No team is that poor. I think the one team you'd have to say that probably is out of it, maybe Pittsburgh is the one you'd throw into that category. But these 2 guys back to back, pretty tough to beat. Carpenter and Wainwright.
And we're going to see Wainwright tomorrow.
And a swing and a miss. Strikeout number 4 for Carpenter, the second time that he's gotten Upton.
Well, Carpenter has so many weapons, and look at there, just a little cutter out away from him. Looks like it's going to be a strike, then it breaks off the plate and diving down. We were talking about Reynolds a little bit. This guy has great power. He has 24 home runs already, 62 RBIs. So his RBI production is a much better pace than last year, and he still strikes out a ton, but he's taking much better bats this year.
So he's actually taking more pitches.
He struck out over 200 times last year to set the new career high record.
A 1 pitch with 2 runners on. Blocked by Molina. 1 ball, 1 strike. So did you take in FanFest and everything else that was going on here downtown?
I did a signing one day and would love to have walked around, but had 3 signings a day, and just everything that I saw I really loved. And you know what I loved most? The stealth.
That was awesome. Yeah, you're right. Force play at second. And the Diamondbacks strand 2. Brendan Ryan leads it off when we return. At Busch Stadium, 12,000 kids ages 12 and under with a paid admission get a very limited edition Cardinals pup. For tickets, call 345-9500 or visit stocardinals.com. And again, that is August 2nd. That is also a family Sunday, and that's when you can purchase a Terrace Reserve or Pavilion Reserve ticket. You get the free hot dog and soda. And after the game as well, you can run the bases on that date, August 2nd. So quite a giveaway that Sunday afternoon. Houston in town. You know, we do these half price nights, and there's a handful of those coming up in the second half of the season. Family of 4 can make it down to the ballpark for as low as $30 for your tickets for 4, because kids tickets start at just $7, and it's half price night on the Pavilion and outfield Terrace Reserve seating. Those are normally $16, so there you go, $30. Brendan Ryan, the 9th place hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike. Want to say a happy birthday. She's 100 and sitting in section 332. Lillian Herberer. Lillian, happy birthday. Outside to Brendan, 2 balls and 1 strike. In the air, out to right field. Backing up, Upton. Well, before the game, a friend of Adam Wainwright's, Craig Campbell, throwing out the ceremonial first pitch.
Country western singer, right?
So Craig Campbell, you're right about that, Al.
And Adam
throwing out that
catching him.
first pitch.
There he is. And you got any of his albums?
I do not, but I will soon enough. And Adam, of course, pitching here tomorrow. Skip Schumacher singled his first time up. 0-1 pitch to Skip.
It's been impressive about Garland is his ability to get inside on batters, whether they're left or right-handed, really changing speeds and getting in on the hands.
Here's the 0-2. Good pitch. The fastball and a strikeout of Schumacher. So 3 strikeouts for John Garland. And my better half, second half. Talking about career batting average by half. You see that Schumacher, Ankiel, Ludwig, Brendan Ryan all better in the second half. Those guys not with huge track records in the major leagues, but that's good to see.
It's one that's kind of missing by omission is Pujols. I wonder what his numbers are. It's got to be very similar both ways.
Well, the thing is, he's so consistent, like you said.
That's what I mean.
You know, roughly it's probably around 325, 330.
It's still amazing that with so little protection, that the numbers that Albert has put up this year. Now, Kobe's really doing the job in front of him. You see the catcher Montero standing up, giving the high target, trying to go up the ladder on Kobe. But Albert, to put up the numbers with very little protection, and there's numbers. Well, I guess we just take it for granted he's going to hit 344 the second half.
Yep. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and nobody on. So second half is 344.
And embarrassing with those home runs and RBIs being down. About the
unbelievable. That's popped foul and out of play. 2-2 here on Colby Rasmus, first time up. Grounded into a 4-6-3 double play. Here's a 2-2. A little bit low. Been consistent with that. The strike zone, it's been more of a high strike zone as opposed to some of those lower pitches. The 3-2 pitch to Colby. Lines it into left field, but the catch made by Parra. Montero leads it off when we come back. 3 innings in the books. Albert left on deck. It's time to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Back at Busch Stadium, you're caught up. There's no score. Arizona and St. Louis. And the first pitch, Montero is taken for a ball inside. Chris Carpenter, 43 pitches on the night thus far, and he has struck out 4. Congratulations to St. Louis and Ryan Howard. Picked up career home run number 200 last night. There's a base hit by Montero. There's a base hit by Montero. Solo.
Good news. And how odd is it for Chris Carpenter and 4 leadoff batters in an inning? He's given up 3 hits.
And it brings in Parra, who grounded out to Albert Pujols first time up.
Has been swinging the bat pretty well, but he does not have any power.
And a ground ball. Double play. 4-6-3 on the double play. So many ways that Chris Carpenter can get you out. You know, he can be a power pitcher. He can get the ground balls when he needs them. When he's right, he is just terrific.
Nice combination there, and quick footwork by Brendan Ryan. But look at Schumacher, how much he has improved at second base. And you know, I think he is comfortable now. That he really worried about would the pitching staff be happy with his play, and all the answers are yes.
There's Chris Young, and he struck out his first time up. If you get Gloss back healthy and he can play third, he can make those throws, you can have a situation with DeRosa at second base, Schumacher in the outfield. Your defensive core out there with Schumacher, Rasmus, and Ludwig pretty darn good.
Well, or you know, you have a left-handed starter, and you could put DeRosa in the outfield.
Sure.
So a lot of different combinations, and that's the point, the versatility that he has, and the mere fact that you got another offensive weapon.
2-1 pitch. Carpenter now just slowing himself down a little bit. 3 balls and a strike. Wishful thinking, but there's been so much talk about Roy Halladay of Toronto and where he might wind up, and the Cardinals apparently are in that conversation. And can you imagine going into postseason with Carpenter, Halladay, Wainwright, Loge, and finishing with your 5th starter being Pinheiro possibly? I mean, that's...
Well, rarely you need more than 3. So, I mean, it's obviously a distinct advantage, and the reason why, and in my mind, one of the reasons why that, you know, the Cardinals have an opening with Halladay is because of Chris Carpenter and their relationship. Teammates and very good and close friends. But do the Cardinals have the combination minus Erasmus or minus, you know, untouchables?
There's a fly ball into center field. Colby back and makes the catch. Arizona is stranded 5, and Albert is due up first.
Hope he has that insurance. You really need these days.
How come?
Well, if you're hurt and can't work, it pays you cash.
Yeah, to help with everyday bills.
Like gas, the mortgage.
And groceries! It's like insurance for daily living.
So what's it called?
Aflac!
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Aflac, we've got you under our wing.
In continued celebration of Emo's 45th anniversary, buy any extra large pizza at regular menu price and get a house salad for just 45 cents.
Everybody knows it's Emo's, a square beyond compare.
Plywood and 2x4s, never enough, I needed more.
Skip part.
Didn't take long to see that shred was the only thing for me.
It's right here. It's easy.
It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
Who's watching?
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
Real fans know the 8th deadly sin is a rainout. But there's a place where there's another game on, my friend. No, that place is not Utopia. It's pretty close, though.
With the MLB Extra Innings package, there's over 80 out-of-market games a week. So even if your team is rained out, there's another game on. Follow your fantasy roster. Get enhanced viewing features. Call 1-888-SPORTS-IN to order.
PM on Fox. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. So here's Albert Pujols, who struck out his first time up, and he's 0 for 1 tonight. We're scoreless here in the bottom of the 4th. Just wonder how worn out Albert still is. As every city we were in right before the break, he was accommodating with the media, national and local level, with interviews and his time. Deep right field, and this one is gone. Number 33. Maybe that's my answer.
Yeah, I was going to think the same thing.
33 home runs for Albert Pujols.
88 RBIs. Both categories lead the major leagues, as well as runs scored. On base percentage and how many others. Good to see an opposite field home run also. As you know, you're a little tired, you're going to get your timing back, you try to go back to basics, you wait on the ball, let it get a little deeper in on you, and then with his supreme power and that non-stride mechanism of hitting, you know, he can drive the ball to the opposite field.
So 33 home runs, 88 RBIs for Pujols, who's now 1 for 2 on the night. 1-0 pitch to Ludwig. I mentioned that Ludwig was on a tear right before the All-Star break, and Cardinals have been looking for any kind of protection behind Pujols, and hopefully that's just the start of a big second half for Ryan Ludwig.
Well, co-player of the week, National League Player of the Week last week for Ryan Ludwig to hit over 400. And you know, remember, became the first Cardinal in history to have two home run games in Wrigley Field in the same season. 15 home runs and
a 3-0. Take it for a strike, 3-1. So the Cardinals get to Garland first tonight. Be interesting to see Danny Herron tomorrow in his return to St. Louis and Busch Stadium. As this is hit in the air to right field, should be caught, and there's one away. So Wainwright and Herron tomorrow as Pujols hits another one out, this time opposite way.
Stays up a little bit, catches a little bit too much of the plate. It was supposed to be down and away, and Albert did take it down and away, right out of the ballpark. There's your run, big guy. Go get him. But he'll take a few more.
Duncan's in a little bit of a rut right now, to say the least.
He's in between, Dan. You know, he's behind on the fastball and out in front of the off-speed pitch.
1 for his last 24.
And he came in 2 for 2 against Garland, so that's why he got the nod today.
Duncan, first time up, struck out. And Chris has 64 strikeouts, which is tops on the club, but he's also second best in walks, just behind Pujols. He's got 40 on the year.
For whatever reason, he really has struggled this season at home, and much higher average on the road. But the one thing, you know, difference between Chris and Rick Ankiel is his ability that he will take the outside pitch to left.
2-2. Beginning of the season too, you know, you really felt that Duncan was going to have a fine year because he looked to be fully healthy.
In spring training, yes. Yeah. Driving the ball.
Home runs were up.
Notice the shift they have in the infield, in particular. The shortstop playing behind second base, the third baseman well off the, almost playing shortstop. That's the, you're seeing the first baseman, second base, shortstop, and there's the third baseman.
Here's a 3-2. Off speed pitch that time, tapped it foul. But again, though, this is one of those situations where you get a good look at it here, that new camera position that we'll be using here in the second half, where the third baseman, if you don't have 2 strikes on you, why not lay down that bunt down the third base line? Edmonds would wind up doing that a couple of times. That's inside, so the 41st walk of the season for Chris Duncan. Well, now you can stay in shape all year long with the Cardinals. This Sunday against Arizona, it's the Diet Coke and Deerberg's Exercise Mat giveaway here at Busch Stadium. 25,000 fans ages 16 and over receive this item as they enter the gates. For tickets, visit STOCardinals.com. And again, that is this Sunday. And that's also a family Sunday. You get the free hot dog and soda when you purchase your ticket.
Base hit by Molina the first time up, and one of those situations you wonder if they'll hit and run. There would have been a good pitch right there on a ball away that Yadi's so good at going to the opposite field.
And Sunday also the kids can run the bases after the game. Just disappointed that we're not going to see Max Scherzer pitch here in St. Louis. The St. Louisan that in the rotation for Arizona. His next start is Tuesday, and that will be against Colorado.
Now, he looked like he tried to go to the opposite field, but probably swung at a ball there. That's why he kind of took the little walk around, tried to recollect himself.
0-2 the count. Duncan, his lead at first base, back in safely. Cardinals with a home run, a solo shot by Pujols. Fly out by Ludwig. Walk to Duncan. And now Molina. No balls and 2 strikes. One of the toughest to strike out in the major leagues. It's because of that. You know, he is willing to just almost throw the bat at the ball just to get a piece, keep himself alive in there, foul him off, and then when he gets a ball that he feels he can drive, then you'll see him let loose a little bit better.
And Dan, that's why he's such a good opposite field hitter, is he'll let the ball get deeper on him and then use those hands to push it to the right side, whether it's an inside out stroke or just try to guide the ball to the right field.
0-2 pitch. Yadier Molina. There it is, base hit into right. Duncan on his way to third base. And the throw is not in time. Cut off, and it's first and third with 1 out.
Good base running by Duncan to know that, okay, the ball's not hit hard enough to where it's going to get to the right fielder, Justin Upton, in time. So Yadi with that opposite field stroke, there you see it, you know, just going out there, guiding it to the right side, and Duncan recognizing he'd go to third. That's a good piece of hitting, and it's also good base run.
You mentioned his approach, and here's Thurston, and he singled. I talked to Kenny Reitz today, and he is coaching now in a wooden bat league. And I said, what do you see with these guys? And they're college players that many will have a chance to play professionally in the minor league level and hopefully to the big leagues. And he says that what I see is that guys have zero idea with a mental approach to an at-bat. They don't go into an at-bat with a game plan. Then he talked about Bob Gibson. He said Bob Gibson grabbed me when I was a player, as a young player, and he said he was the one that policed our clubhouse. He said, listen, buddy, and he shook him. He said, quit swinging at pitches that are out of the strike zone and high. And he said, as crazy and as easy as that sounds, you know, for Bob to say, he said he's exactly right. You have to have a game plan on what you want to do and where you want to hit the ball.
And Bob was right that Reitzy was such, you know, the free swinger that would, you know, if the ball was in some kind of a 8-foot circle, he was going to swing at it. But, you know, you've got to learn discipline. You got to learn discipline. And as we see, even now, you'll see a lot of hitters go up there and from at bat to at bat, they change their game plan. It should stay the same. And that's why, not only just stop changing stances, but stay with one pattern.
Ball scoots away, and Molina's on his way to second base. Almost looked as if Yadier was saying, okay, throw to second, let's get in the rundown, maybe by design.
Well, you can't say it was a delayed steal, but you can say with the secondary lead, he saw the separation and he took off. He almost stopped there, and that's what you're saying, about, okay, I'm going to get trapped here, so at least I'll get in a rundown and maybe we can get a cheap run if Duncan coming home. But when Montero dropped the ball again, Yachty could go pick up another steal, and believe it or not, that is, number 6?
And this turns out to be a even bigger at bat here for Thurston. Infield is drawn in, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Got to put the ball in play here.
At the very least, you need a sacrifice fly or pull something to the right side. But with the infield in, you have more hitting lanes.
Now you do have Carpenter on deck. First base is open. Wonder if A.J. Hinch thought about the possibility of the intentional pass here, or just basically pitching around Thurston to see if he would chase.
When he got the 2 strikes, it kind of changes that aspect.
But certainly you're not going to give him much to hit.
Right. You're going to, kind of go out there and try and get him to get himself out, either the pop-up or the strikeout on the infield. And you'd like to think, even if Thurston walks, that with 1 out, Carpenter could come up and he can put the ball in play and hopefully get an RBI.
So a 3-2 pitch to Joe Thurston.
Got a hanger. Pulls it foul.
Foul ball. A couple rows deep now. 3-2.
If you throw a fastball, in my mind, it's got to be off the plate, whether it's inside, up out of the strike zone, or away, and get him to chase. You're willing to take the fact that the bases are loaded, but it would be a major mental mistake to allow Thurston to get a base hit.
3-2. And Thurston swings and misses, so big strikeout there.
Like a cutter.
There's 2 outs.
Come inside and goes that little cutter, and you try and get it up right around the hands, and it's a big strikeout, biggest of the night for Garland.
So pitcher Chris Carpenter grounded into a fielder's choice. First time up, and he's 0 for 1. Runners at second and third. Carpenter chops one towards the middle. Gloved by Stephen Drew, and he makes the play, and the Cardinals strand 2. They've left 4 on tonight. Home run by Albert. 1-0 St. Louis.
I ask you, what does a walk-off homer look like in the box score? A bunch of little numbers? That's not baseball. Little numbers in a newspaper is Sudoku or whatever you call it.
Your team's games are home games with the MLB Extra Innings package no matter where you live. Get up to 80 out-of-market games a week and enhanced viewing features with MLB Extra Innings on digital cable. Call 1-888-SPORTS-IN to order.
Times have changed, especially when it comes to owning a home. At Wells Fargo, we're with you.
A couple of game-tying home runs today. Soriano.
Nobody warming right now for the Angels. Back-to-back.
Another strikeout on the changeup for Jared Weaver. That gives him 8 on the night.
Has a tendency to... That fastball has popped up early. They've been tailgating outside Citizens Bank Park. The first pitch of 2009.
Date in history back in 2000 on the first pitch he sees in the major leagues. Chris Richard homers for the Cardinals. Kind of a tall, lanky outfielder. First pitch that he saw, and he homered.
Actually went on to Baltimore, I believe.
Yes, he did. He actually was part of, and I'm not sure if he was in the lineup, but certainly he was active at the end of that season. Cal Ripken's final game in Baltimore. I'm sure a final game ever in the major leagues. I'm sure that was a thrill for him.
Cardinals have a 1-0 lead on Albert's 33rd home run of the year. And, you know, Joe Garagiola was kind enough to each give us a signed autograph of a copy of his new book, Just Play Ball. And I know Joe has been under the weather, hasn't done a game for the Diamondbacks this year, but we all speed him a healthy recovery. And of course, we always wish Mickey Garagiola the best here in St. Louis.
So Carpenter finishing up his warm-up tosses.
Waiting for an umpire, I assume.
I believe yeah, there you go.
John Hirschbeck, Mother Nature called, apparently.
Just a gorgeous night here in St. Louis, and temperatures for the ball game tomorrow night are expected to be perfect as well. And you see the Cardinals 41-12 when they score first, and they have scored first tonight thanks to Pujols yet again. A home run, his 33rd of the season. That's another thing that Tom Pagnazzi and I were talking about. He said, if I was on the other side coaching or managing, so when it comes to pitching to Pujols, it's going to be few and far between that I even you know, look at throwing him a pitch that he can swing at. He right now is the best player in baseball, arguably, and could go down as one of the greatest hitters ever. We're watching him on a nightly basis, and he's doing things that people have never done. You see the home runs by direction, so just his second to right field.
Yeah, that's a little surprising, but in my mind, that was very important that he did go to the opposite field, drive that ball out.
I think with any hitting coach or manager, even guys at this level, you get concerned coming after the home run derby of bad habits. And when you see a guy stick with that and hit it to the opposite way, you get the feeling that, you know, he's locked in. He's right on the pitch.
It's a very good point, because, you know, you're seeing a guy trying to jerk the ball to left. And as we noted, you know, I mean, it was quite obvious to me that he missed the location or the ability of Dave McKay to hit his swing.
2-0.
Dave McKay has thrown more home runs in batting practice than anybody I can think of, because he's worked exclusively with Albert's group, and when Mark McGwire was here, he threw to Mark McGwire. Of course, he did that back in the days of Oakland on top of it.
Here's a 2-1 pitch taken inside by Felipe Lopez, their leadoff man, 3-1. Lopez tonight has a couple of base hits, 2 for 2. We're in the 5th. It's 1-0 Cardinals. Popped foul and out of play. But you look at this Diamondbacks team, and they do have some chips to trade if they'd like to restock and look ahead for next season. And this would be a guy that some people will look at, I'm sure.
You know, the interesting thing with me with Hinch's background, you know, player development, you know, you would like to think that would be a viable option for them down the stretch, of bring up some of their blue chippers and maybe lighten the payroll a little bit by trading some of their players off.
And that's taken up and away. So a walk by Carpenter, and that's his first of the night that he has issued. So Stephen Drew will be the hitter. Stephen Drew is fly to right and also tried to bunt and sacrifice in the 3rd and popped out to Molina. There's guys like Drew in this lineup and Upton. I'm sure there's still faith in Chris Young. There are guys that they look at and value as very, very high prospects and very good major league players. Not really prospects anymore, but young players at this level.
Yeah, and Stephen Drew is probably the leader of the pack. You know, what he can do on all levels.
If he's the leader of the pack, Upton's not too far behind.
No, but I mean, but his maturity level is there, and Upton is, you know, probably has a higher upside.
0-1 pitch. See, Molina thought about trying to pick off another runner. 0-2 the count with 1 out. Carpenter has struck out 4. He's allowed 6 base hits and 1 walk. Be interesting to see how John Mozeliak wants to tweak this team as we edge closer towards the trade deadline, as he visited with Jim. And the standard answer is we're always evaluating, we're always looking. And he got him looking there. So 5 strikeouts, and John Mozeliak pulled off the deal to get Mark DeRosa. And like you said, Al, before it's all said and done, that will prove to be, we would think, a valuable deal for the Cardinals.
And I also, we have to bear in mind as the trading deadline approaches that a lot of trades now are done after the deadline, when it's easier to get players through waivers.
So here is Upton with a couple of the strikeouts, and he is 0 for 2. Curveball in there for a strike. Cardinals have Brendan Ryan, Skip Schumacher, and Colby Rasmus coming up.
Upton just stayed in St. Louis.
Same with Aaron. Quick move that time. It looked like Lopez may have been leaning. We saw him be aggressive on the bases when he was with St. Louis last year.
Has 6 steals and 9 attempts this season. But off of this combination of Carpenter and Molina, it's very difficult to steal.
Good pitch. 0-2.
Young hitters, you know, just become spellbound when facing Carpenter. His ability to, if he executes his pitches, they have very little chance, because and once he gets ahead with that breaking ball, rarely he's going to throw a strike, but they're going to be offering. There's your 1-2 pitch right there as you're trying to, you know, 0-2, trying to get a guy to chase the ball out of the strike zone. He doesn't do it.
Upton with the 2 strikeouts, one of those looking, the other swinging. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The next by Carpenter on the inside corner, and he struck him out. Back-to-back Ks, 6 on the night. Midway through 5, and it's 1-0. Game Cardinals Live is broadcasting from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place Casino. Watch player interviews and Tony La Russa plus Pat Paris and Rick Horton break down the game. It's U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live after the game on Fox Sports Midwest.
Just a side note to Justin Upton. He's struck out 3 or more times in 3 of the last 4 games. 3 again here tonight.
So here's Brendan Ryan. First pitch misses on the outside corner for ball 1. Ryan has flied out to right, 0 for 1 tonight. And shows bunt, looks at a strike, 1-1. Brendan Ryan here, then Skip Schumacher, the Cardinal leadoff man, and Colby Rasmus. Most of the folks that came in from out of town, the Cardinals have heard a lot of feedback from Major League Baseball, and they were thrilled with how the city put on a show. The home run derby went very well, and the only blemish was essentially the rain on Sunday for the Futures game, and that's it.
They ultimately got that game in, and congratulations to Jose Oquendo. His World team won that one, right?
Yeah, and I asked Jose about Brett Wallace, who was part of the Futures game, and you know, just how good of a player can he be, and he said he's going to be just fine. He said Wallace has lost a little bit of weight. He's moving better defensively. He said, but he can hit.
Well, that's, everyone has said that, and the reports I got is that he's a lot better defensively, and a lot of people give him credit for it.
And quickly, 2 outs. What's on tap is presented by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability. Pitchers duel here in game 1. What do we expect in game 2? We've got Adam Wainwright and Danny Herron.
Sounds like a pitcher's duel to me.
You bet. 5:30 we're on the air. 5:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. Arizona and St. Louis in game 2. Colby Rasmus with Pujols on deck.
Now, there are times as a pitcher where you really need to bear down, and I would say this would be one. With 2 outs, Pujols on deck, and make sure you retire Colby.
And caught by the center fielder Young, so the cleanup man Mark Reynolds due up first when we come back to Busch. The first Major League Baseball pitcher to reach the 3,000 strikeout milestone. 3,000 strikeouts. Walter Johnson with Washington back in 1923.
The big train.
Of course, Bob Gibson against Cincinnati picked up strikeout number 3,000 at Old Busch Stadium.
He was second to ever do so, and that was against Cesar Geronimo.
Here's Reynolds in a broken bat, little floater into shallow right and a base hit. Playing deep, broken bat, big cut, and it drops in front of Ludwig for another leadoff base hit. So he's been dealing with a leadoff man in 5 of the 6 innings.
The bulldog that Carpenter is, you know, he's one of those type of guys that, you know, he can pitch and gets better when he gets guys in scoring position or gets guys on base. He'll bend, but he won't break.
Montero is 1 for 2. He is struck out and singled. See if Carpenter can't get another double play here. 1-6-1 for St. Louis, 0-6-0 for Arizona. The Diamondbacks have stranded 6 tonight. The Cardinals have left 4 on. Cardinals turned a 4-6-3 double play off the bat of Parra back in the 4th. That'll find the seats out of play. What's interesting about this division for Arizona, they got off to the slow start. They haven't played well this year, but while many consider them to be a favorite to be in the hunt for this division, it's been the Dodgers since day one. They've been running away with it. They have a 6.5 game lead, but San Francisco and Colorado, you figure those 2 teams will be right in the hunt for the wild card. And we're still a long ways away from the end of the season. You don't know what could happen inside their division.
A lot of things can happen, but we have not seen the Dodgers.
Next homestand will have Los Angeles for 4. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then a weekend set with Houston.
Seen very little of Houston this year, haven't we? We saw them one time here.
One time here. We have not been to Houston yet. They're in Los Angeles.
And we go there, start a 3-game set on Monday.
Monday, and then that off day, which is Thursday, is now the makeup game against Washington, and then we'll be in Philadelphia. Throw behind and got him. He did it again. Molina guns down Reynolds at first base.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Yadier now has 6 pickoffs this season and 32 in his career. And how and why people don't respect this throwing arm. Quick feet, that perfect throw, and Albert just lays the tag right there. He doesn't have to move the glove, as the glove's right there, slides it back and catches his hand before he gets to the bag. 6th time this year, 32nd in his career.
You can't throw a ball any better than that, than what he just did to first base. I mean, that is on the bag.
No, I mean, that's, you know, with no wasted. Albert doesn't have to reach up, catch the ball, bring down the tag. It's right there. He just moved it slightly to put it in front of the bat.
Here's a 3-1 pitch, fouled back, 3-2. So another look, and the tag.
Throw right on the bag. I mean, it hits the bag if Albert doesn't stop it, and then he slides the hand in front of the bag and seals it off.
Montero fouls it back in a good cut. Parra is on deck, and Montero tonight is struck out swinging and also singled. And he went. Molina chases it down to first. Good play again by Yadi. Strikeout number 7 tonight for Carpenter. 2-3 on the putout. Strikeout number 7.
Breaking ball, gets right here and pops up, crowds it, reaches between his legs, standing flat-footed, guns it down there. Watch this throw. Right on the money.
So 2 outs, and it brings in Parra, who is 0 for 2.
Good hustling play there by Yadi.
2 outs, nobody on for Parra. 1-0 St. Louis.
This guy's got some speed and already a ton of triples. He's got 7 doubles and 7 triples.
And that's popped up and out of play. Pitch count at 77. And a grounder hit too short. Take a look at the 3 outs this inning. A base hit by Mark Reynolds, but then he's picked off once again by Molina. Strikeout of Montero. Yadier had to chase that down. And then Parra, the ground out to short. 1-0 St. Louis. Cardinals, that sweet swing has put the Cardinals on top. 1-0. His solo home run, number 33 for Albert Pujols. And here we go in the bottom of the 6th. The Cubs win their ball game over Washington 3-1. Cincinnati in the bottom of the 8th leading Milwaukee 4-0. Later tonight, Houston and Los Angeles. 1-0 pitch. Take it for a ball. 2 balls and no strikes. (2-0) on Albert Pujols. 33 home runs and 88 driven in this year. Here's a 2-0 pitch.
Garland's getting smart, isn't he? We're talking about how Garland can't stay away from the big inning. And you can see once his pitch count gets up there, the hitter's average starts climbing.
And the 3-0 pitch. Pujols down the left field line. Out of here. Goodness. Another rocket off his bat. Albert Pujols with 34 home runs.
Dan, you sit there and you go, it's 3-0. Why in the world would you throw a strike? And then if you're going to throw one, why do you throw one to where he could pull it?
2 home runs for Pujols tonight.
I was about to say, you know, the average gets up there, it can't avoid the big inning, and then you're sitting here, you don't want to necessarily walk the leadoff man, but when it's Albert Pujols and you're 3-0, he'll get a curtain call. That's just common sense, isn't it?
Unbelievable. That home run was reminiscent of his home run that day game in Florida. You know, when it just got out, snap of a finger.
I mean, that is hard to hit ball. Comes inside. Of course, you're 3-0, so you have a tendency, you miss a little bit. You miss a little bit. middle half in, and that ball just exploded off his bat, off the wall at the big Macland. And I mean, there's common sense, and then there's you know, trying to do a little too much.
Al, he's rested. No issues with Albert.
I'm glad you brought that to our attention last time up.
A ball, 1 strike, and how quickly did it get out? Ludwig, right center field. Young is back, and the catch will be made by the right fielder, Upton. Well, tomorrow, 15,000 fans will receive a Cardinals-themed dog tag necklace, courtesy of Jack in the Box. Still tickets available. It should be a beautiful night for baseball and a great pitching matchup with Aaron and Wainwright. So visit STLCardinals.com. Come on down and join us at 345-9000, the number to call. Another multi-homer game for Albert Pujols. Both solo shots. Opposite field home run, first time up into right center. And now a 2-run lead for Carpenter after that latest vicious bomb from Albert Pujols. In Carpenter's mind, you know, you start thinking about where you're at in the game, and he's got the bottom of the order coming up, 7, 8, 9. So you wonder if this will be it for Garland, as he is closing in on 100 pitches. Number 92 is taken for a strike on the outside corner, and Duncan strikes out. That's 5 for John Garland.
Garland's pitched a heck of a ball game, even considering the 2 solo shots against Albert, but 2 leadoff inning home runs. But the last one, you know, I'm sure he'll really question himself on a 3-0 pitch.
That brings in Molina. A couple of base hits, 2 singles.
You know, I've always been one to say that you've got to hit your way on, but you're talking about Albert Pujols. That is 2 for 2.
One-0 pitch to Molina. 2 balls and no strikes with 2 outs, nobody on. Cardinals leading 2-0. What kind of numbers is Pujols going to wind up at as Molina grounds it for a base hit? And he's 3 for 3.
Over 285 now, so about 286, 287.
And the All-Stars have come through tonight. Pujols, pair of solo home runs. Yadier Molina's 3 for 3, and here's Joe Thurston, who's now 1 for 2 on the night.
I like that theme. The All-Stars have come through, and Ryan Franklin would be part of that mix. 25 and 5 all time in Pujols multi-homer games.
So I mean, think about that. That's 30 times he's done this in his career. Now 31.
31 because
tonight
we haven't had, this game's not a final.
Right. 2 outs, runner at first, no balls and a strike. Mentioned before that Garland is due up third, so you would figure that this very well could be that he'd be through for the night if he can get Thurston here. No activity for the Diamondbacks in their bullpen done for St. Louis.
Really wouldn't get anybody up until their half of the inning, and because of a nice cool evening, even with that pitch count approaching 100, there is the possibility with their bullpen problems that they could, if there were 2 outs and nobody on base, let him hit for himself.
And an 0-2 pitch taken low and away.
But I would guess along with you that by today's standards, they probably would, his night would be through.
The next to Thurston. Up and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 435 feet, the estimated distance of the home run. So hard to measure. I mean, they have a basic idea of where it is in the stadium when it hits. That thing's coming in about 200 miles an hour, it seems like. 3-2.
It's very sophisticated.
And you've actually done an extensive study on this, haven't you?
I remember at the old ballpark, I went up one day, I wasn't working, and I asked them how they do it, and they basically had a chart, and somebody just kind of said, okay, this is where the ball lands, and it gives a measurement there, but it's all as a guesstimate.
Sure. Thurston is in a key spot last time up with 2 on and 1 out, and he struck out. 3-2 and a changeup, and he strikes out here. Albert Pujols, in case you missed it, back in the 4th inning. Take a look. Opposite field home run, his first of the night. And he did it again. 2 home runs and a 2-run lead. So 2-0 St. Louis as we're in the top of the 7th. And let's take a look at our Mercedes attention assist of the game. And this is the pickoff. Molina to first and gets Reynolds. And that's our Mercedes-Benz attention assist of the game as we welcome Mercedes-Benz to Cardinals baseball.
6th time this season he's picked off a batter or picked off a runner at first base, and the 31st time of his still young career.
And Albert Pujols, the other story tonight. First home run at 386 feet and the second at 435. 1 ball, 1 strike on Chris Young. And a lefty is up and throwing for Arizona. They've got 2 out there, Schoenweiss and Zavada.
Zavada is who I'm thinking. They say he's been pitching well, but it looks more like Schoenweiss's body. Schoenweiss. There's the veteran lefty.
So here is Josh Whitesill. And you see Chris Carpenter, the opponent average and home runs allowed tonight, just 81 pitches. Cardinals have turned a double play tonight, 4-6-3. And that was Parra. Back in the 4th inning. Can he do it again?
Whitesill was the D-backs minor league player of the year last season.
Alex Romero is now at the on deck circle. He hits from the left side. He'll be a pinch hitter for for Garland. Carpenter has struck out 7. Breaking ball and a strike. That late break on those pitches, nasty.
His mechanics and everything looks just like, all of his pitches looks like the same thing, but with that slow, tantalizing breaking ball to get ahead, hitters geared up for something much harder and they just give up on it.
And a swing and a miss, 0-2.
And there's the indication, like I said, right now, Whitesell is just swinging at everything. And with a guy like Carpenter, I mean, it's not a good combination. Has put the ball in place twice tonight, but we'll see the third time.
And the 0-2.
Tied him up as that fouled that pitch off, but a good pitch up above the hands, locking him up.
One final already in tonight as Seattle beat Cleveland 6-2. You mentioned that's in the American League, and the Cubs, of course, have won their ball game 3-1, and now Cincinnati has just wrapped up. A fly ball into left. Duncan makes the catch. Young backtracking to first. Cardinal fans, when it comes to tickets, you deserve Major League service, so go online to StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of the St. Louis Cardinals and the only site with Fan Protect guarantee. So that's it for Garland. His night is through, and here's Romero. "13 games, that's it this year, and he's hitting .310 with 3 RBIs. Garland threw just over 100 pitches at 101. Thurston even with the bag over at third base. Pujols holding at first. Outfield straight away. 1-0 pitch taken outside. 2 balls and no strikes.
Romero has made his major league debut last season and appeared in 78 games for the D-backs. He was called up from Reno on June 26 when Eric Burns was put on the disabled list. Looks like another speed guy, as looks like he probably slap hitter.
2-1.
Like the way he reacts after the ball goes by him.
He's done that on every pitch.
Yes, I know.
Two and 2. Carpenter now at 90 pitches. 2 up first for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 7th. Now the Cardinals have talked about trying to be very cautious with Ryan Franklin and his appearances this year, and Kyle McClellan. Now I'm assuming that when you get to this point with a guy like Carpenter and you're trying to be extra cautious with him, you hit that 90 to 100 pitches. Pujols to second, double play. A rocket by Romero, and Albert was ready for it. Time to stretch. Bottom of the 7th here in St. Louis as Chris Carpenter has been magnificent once again here tonight. Let's go pitch by pitch on Romero, the pinch hitter for John Garland.
I like the way he's kind of spreads his hands away after this, but once he swung the bat there and then flips the bat at it, but this time he hit a rocket right at Albert. But the old favorite of a pitcher, the 3-6-3 or any double play speaks volumes.
And now it's our Chevy called to the bullpen. And a lefty is in. They've got 2 out there in their bullpen.
This is Schoenweiss, the veteran, appearing for the 33rd time. 1-1 record, 5 holes, ERA over 5. Only 15 innings pitched, and not exactly the strikeout walk ratio you want.
Cardinals baseball tonight is brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Rat Bush Stadium in St. Louis, along with Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin, and here is Chris Carpenter to lead it off for the Redbirds in their half of the 7th. 7 hits aside, but the difference, Albert Pujols 2 home runs.
Which we get reminded about how ball players have the same problems as other people in society, and Schoenweiss, one of those tragic stories this year, is on the road, and his wife, was found dead in the house. Daughter found her, and unconscious. Could not revive her, and so he was on bereavement leave, but just a tragic story.
1 ball, 1 strike on Carpenter. Pitch inside. Carpenter is 0 for 2 on the night. And pops this one up behind home plate and out of play. Two and 2. And a swing and a miss, so a strikeout of Carpenter. And here's Brendan Ryan, the 9th place hitter, and Brendan tonight 0 for 2.
Interesting, they bring in Schoenweiss, and they have a right-hander warming up, Vasquez. But Schoenweiss earlier in his career was a starter, and a lot of times guys like him have better success against right-handers than they do left-handed batters.
Pitch inside. There's a look at the righty Vasquez. No activity for the Cardinals in their pen. A low strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals took 2 of 3 against Arizona earlier this year.
Cardinals really have dominated against them in their brief history.
It was amazing how quickly Arizona was able to win. It didn't take them very long once they got things going at the major league level to win a bunch of games and eventually get into postseason play.
They were part of the very last expansion, and Major League Baseball finally gave those teams a fighting chance. Arizona and also Tampa Bay, allowing them to build their farm systems for about 3 years before they got to the major league level. And so you started having an A ball, a double A, a triple A team before you went into the major league draft. But you're right, they spent a lot of money early in their existence. They won early.
2-2.
And prior to last year, Tampa Bay was just really struggling trying to get to 500.
Buck Showalter Really was on the cusp of taking that team to the next level. Same thing with the Yankees after he was let go there.
Well, remember that I think he was on their payroll these 2 to 3 years, being paid about $1 million a year, not even managing, but kind of handling the farm system and building that franchise.
A 3-2 and a check swing by Brendan Ryan, so he'll stand at first base with 1 out. Skip Schumacher will be the hitter. Schumacher has singled tonight, struck out back in the 3rd, and also grounded out. Third baseman in a couple of steps over there. Check on Ryan, who's always dancing, it seems like, when he's on the base paths. Hopping back and forth. You talked about it, Al. You got to be very careful when you do that.
And sometimes pitchers will kind of time you when you're leaning one way or in the air.
There's a base hit into right. Brendan Ryan to second, now on his way to 3rd. The throw offline just a bit. Aggressive baseball here by the Cardinals.
Well, Upton has a very strong throwing arm. He's your 5-tool classic player, and very lucky here as he fires to 3rd base a little offline, and with Brendan Ryan sliding in, screening Reynolds, it was a nice pickup by the Arizona 3rd baseman, really not seeing the ball. But that's that aggressive base running. Even with guys with good throwing arms, you can take advantage of them.
Colby Rasmus now a chance to do some damage. Schoenweiss, the lefty facing Rasmus, and then you've got Pujols on deck. Wouldn't dare pitch to Albert, would you? Make it a 3 home run night.
Well, if you walk Kobe here, you might have to.
Yeah.
But Schoenweiss could pass the baton and say good luck.
Foul tip by Colby. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Either way, it appears it was probably Schoenweiss's last hitter.
The Cardinals, if they can hold on, would move to 3 games in front of Milwaukee. They lose tonight, Chicago wins, so they would stay 3 games out. Jose Oquendo and Brendan Ryan, let's take a look here.
Well, just the little things that you've got to remind that base runner that, okay, the 3rd baseman still has the ball. You got your head down, keep your foot on the bag, because you don't want them to tag you out not knowing where the ball is. So just the little things that you always have to remind people of.
1 and 2.
Well, a lot of times a base runner will step there and think the ball's back in the pitcher's hand and stand off, take a step off and get tagged out. And probably with the throw coming in, you can see that Oquendo's saying slide to the infield side as the throw went to the outfield side.
Ooh, almost a wild pitch.
Well, nice pickup by Montero. Runner at 3rd base, that could have been extremely costly late in this game. The breaking ball out there, and he kind of stabs at it, but he comes up with it with the soft hands.
1 out, runners at 1st and 3rd, 2 balls, 2 strikes, the count. We'll do it again. Atlanta pounding New York tonight, 11-0. That's in the bottom of the 8th. We have 1 more visit to Citi Field this year, a 2-game series. Rasmus, a swing and a miss and a strikeout. So here's Pujols. Already with 2 home runs.
And I think they just signaled forward. So they're going to walk him with runners at 1st and 3rd. They're going to walk the bases full.
So another walk to Albert, and here come the boos.
That'll be his 33rd intentional pass this season. The franchise record Albert set last year with 34. Can you blame him?
No, sir.
But why are you warming up a right-hander? You know, and who's to say he's not going to go get, you know, Schoenweiss with Ludwig on deck? And now he'll go get the right-hander.
So bases loaded for Ryan Ludwig, who has a grand slam already this year. Holes, first home run opposite way. Then a monster shot near Big Mac land. Start of a double play. Cabot Woodstein, legendary performance. A legend in the making, no doubt, Albert Pujols.
He's involved in at least 3 nice defensive plays tonight also.
And our call to the bullpen is the right-hander is in, is presented by Chevrolet.
Vasquez. See his numbers, his 29th appearance, 1 win and 3 decisions, couple holds, ERA approaching 5, almost a strikeout per inning, and opponents batting 280 plus off him.
So bases loaded for Ludwig. Chris Duncan is on deck. Brendan Ryan with a walk, a single by Schumacher. He's got a 2-hit night. The intentional pass to Albert. (1-0) to Ludwig. Good pitch. Tony La Russa, his club, with a 2-run lead here tonight. We're only in the 7th. Still a ways to go.
Now this at bat can really determine if it's going to be an easy sailing the rest of the way.
Taken low, 2 balls and a strike. So now Ludwig is in the driver's seat.
Robert, Ryan Ludwig, one of the few guys that wished the All-Star break did not happen.
The 2-1 pitch to Ludwig. You say that this year because he was on fire that final week in a great road trip for Ludwig. The year before, though, he was an all-star, and I'm sure he loved every minute of it. Yankee Stadium.
And he hit 600 in the Chicago series, over 400 for the road trip. Had the 9-game hitting streak still on the line.
2-2 pitch. 3-2. So they're off with this pitch. Ball in the gap. Should score 3. First year for Hinch. Couple of decades for Tony La Russa, and this crowd is on their feet. There they go, the 3-2. Ludwig, base hit into right. 2 runs will score. Pujols ends up at third base, and Ludwig continues with his hot pace. It's 4-0 St. Louis.
That's it, Dan. Just that, you know, a critical mistake for a pitcher, running the count full with 2 outs and the bases loaded where everybody can run. So Hardy's prime cut of the game as Ludwig kind of breaks it open. A little slider, didn't go break it all, sat right there. And Ryan has to go back and touch home plate just ahead of Schumacher. Albert ends up at third, and the Cardinals have the 4-0 lead, and Duncan has a chance to add to it.
Pujols seemed to be about 2/3 of the way towards second base off of that pitch on the 3-2. Lefty, the other lefty out there, Zavada, is getting loose.
I say Zavada has pitched extremely well, but has more success retiring right-handed batters than left.
1-0 pitch. 2 balls and no strikes.
Which may be the reason why this right-hander is facing Duncan.
Sure. I'm sure that is the reason. That's the one that makes sense. You got the lefty, you're going to use him here. Unless he struggles against lefties.
But you also say, why is he warming up?
2 balls and a strike.
You know, because you got Molina on deck, so you're going to let him face a left-hander here. If he doesn't get Duncan out, then you bring in the lefty to face the right-handed batter because he has better success against righties. You're kind of in trouble. Or you're doing a lot of explaining.
The 2-1. Duncan with a fly ball into shallow right. And we have played 7 here at Busch Stadium. Cardinals, with Ryan Ludwig single, they scored 2 more and they lead at 4-0. The Cardinals lead the Diamondbacks. Chris Carpenter has been sharp this evening. He'll pitch into this 8th inning. And Carpenter has struck out 7. Offensively, the story, Albert Pujols with a couple of home runs. Now with 33, that was 33, and 34 right there. And Ryan Ludwig with 2 more RBIs. Ludwig's starting to creep up there as he has 58 RBIs.
all along his home runs and RBIs weren't that bad. It was just a low batting average. But now with a 10-game hitting streak, batting over 400.
This is the top of the lineup that Carpenter will face. Lopez, Drew, and Upton. Ricky Ankiel takes over in left field.
Amazing. The minute Ankiel went out there, the fireworks started going off.
1-1 pitch. Breaking ball taken low. Lopez has been on base all 3 times he's been to the plate. Couple of singles and a walk in the 5th. Thurston there and makes the play. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. Gorgeous night for baseball. With fireworks going off here at Busch Stadium. Here's Stephen Drew. You would figure, I would think, Al, that you see the fireworks that Tony, in the back of his mind, he might be thinking, all right, Carpenter goes 1, 2, 3, and that's enough. That's the second out, caught by Schumacher. You know, do you send him back out there to potentially finish this game off?
Because of the situation where the 4 days off for the All-Star break, I agree with you. You can get an inning for somebody. You know, a lot of guys don't the complete games, even shutouts. They're so meaningful. But right now you still have 70 games after this, and you don't want that bullpen to get too rusty. It's not a save situation, so you know that may dictate whether Franklin gets used or not.
That's ripped foul.
And maybe the fact that Franklin pitched in the All-Star game, you know, he didn't have the 4 days off. So
51-7 in his career with the Cardinals when receiving 3+ runs in support.
I said he's 7-3, but very easily could have had a whole bunch more with a little bit of run support.
Upton a tough night as he has struck out 3 times and he's in the hole now, 0-2. With young players, though, you're going to have nights like that, right?
It's part of the maturing process. You know, you can't get too high when you have a good night, and you don't bury yourself when you're struggling. What we talked about with Upton, though, is pitchers have had their way with him recently. He's 3 of the last 4 games, he's had 3 strikeouts or more.
1-2 pitch.
The pitch count. It's pretty much a model of consistency.
Ooh, just missed on the breaking ball, a little bit low.
As he lay off it, and then you're at the mercy of an umpire calling it. Yeah, looked like it could have gone either way.
Here's a 3-2.
You know, Carpenter, he's going to make him hit his way on. He's only walked 1. That was the 14th walk. Not as many starts.
Here's a 3-2 pitch. Schumacher to his right. Carpenter may have gotten a piece of it. And Upton is 0 for 4. Bottom of the 8th. And it's 4-0 St. Louis. drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. By Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by Hyundai. Lock in $1.49 a gallon for a year's worth of gas. Visit your St. Louis Hyundai dealers today. The fireworks going off here at the ballpark, and Albert's provided a couple as well. And Al, I'm sure you can appreciate Clay Zavada and his Raleigh Fingers type mustache that he sports.
Well, we'll have to check it out, but appearing for the 24th time, 2-2 record, ERA 1.69, so doing the job there. But here's what we were talking about. Left-handers are batting .333 against the handlebar mustachioed lefty, and right-handers are batting .174 against him. Not bad. Raleigh would be proud of that.
Zavada is an interesting story. He's 25 and a fan favorite because of the way that he looks and the way that he looks at the game as well. Never takes it for granted. The veterans have taken a liking to him. Mother died when he was just 3 years old. That left his father Clarence to raise he and his brother, who then was 4, in the town of Streator, Illinois. It's a small community about 100 miles southwest of Chicago. That's where Zavada still lives, takes care of the family farm. They say the community gathers anytime that he is pitching or the Diamondbacks are playing, and they are watching at the local establishments to take in what he might do that night.
Played at Illinois Valley Community College and then transferred to Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville. So
right.
Very familiar with Busch Stadium, you would think, and has an excellent changeup.
And to fulfill a promise he had made to his dad, he went back to school, eventually graduated. At one point, he was delivering furniture to make ends meet, support his family. Yadier hits it down the left field line, but foul.
Another graduate of the Frontier League. It's just Southern Illinois minors.
It was over the winter that the Diamondbacks added him to their 40-man roster. They needed a reliever in May. They called him up from AA Mobile, Alabama. And since then, he's been very, very good. So good story. Good to see that he's made it here in the big leagues. Little floater into center. Drops in for a hit.
4th run from Molina tonight.
Schedule update for the Cardinal fans out there. Monday, July 27th against the Dodgers at 6:10 start. A 6:10 start Monday, July 27th, and Saturday, August 1st against Houston. That start time at 6:15. Both those games on Fox Sports Midwest. So again, the Dodger game, that's the most recent one coming up now, is at 6:10. So we moved that up to 6:10 on the 27th when we return from Philly. Thurston, little bunt here, and Molina advances to second base. So a sack, 2-3 on the play.
Stavanoa is going to pinch hit.
So that'll end the night for Chris Carpenter. St. Louis Cardinals and the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, Fox Sports Midwest, will all team up together to encourage young people not to smoke. Once you start, hard to stop. Strike out tobacco so we can all breathe easier. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
I know that'll make Joe Garagiola very happy, as he's been battling the campaign to a smokeless tobacco, that usage.
And the night is through for Carpenter. Very good.
8 shutout innings, doesn't get much better. He did a lot, scatter 7 hits. And there you see Jason Mott.
Runner at second base is Molina. The 1-1 pitch to Stavanoa. 10 hits for the Cardinals, 7 for Arizona, and a 4-0 St. Louis lead. Cleanup man Mark Reynolds due up first in the 9th. Stavanoa, left field, and a long one into right off of Big Mac land. Nick Stavanoa, his 2nd home run this season. Almost had enough to get into Big Mac land instead.
Almost is right, but a high towering fly ball to pad the lead to 6-0 behind Carpenter, who is out of this ball game. But we talk about how they met, or the Arizona bullpen has struggled, and particularly in the 8th inning. And right off the facade of the Big Mac land, not enough to knock out a light.
You got to hit the light first. It would have, I bet.
Which, by the way, the eye is relit. Did that last homestand, though, didn't they?
Yeah. 1-0 the count here on Brendan Ryan. A couple flyouts and a walk tonight. 3 home runs hit by the Cardinals. 2 by Pujols, and that blast by Stavanoa. 6-0 St. Louis.
That's really important to get Stavanoa or anybody other than Albert making that contribution. There's a good changeup.
Other finals in baseball: the Cubs over Washington 3-1. Cincinnati beat Milwaukee 4-0. Atlanta pounds the Mets 11-0. Pittsburgh tied up 1-1 in the bottom of the 11th with San Francisco. So Duncan and Stavanoa having a laugh about it now. It's 6-0 St. Louis. A strikeout of Brendan Ryan. And Skip Schumacher will try to make it a 3-hit night.
Skip leads the ball club in 3-hit games.
Singled in the 1st, struck out looking in the 3rd, grounded out in the 5th, and a single in the 7th. Base hit into right. 3-hit night for Skip.
His 11th 3-hit game of the season. He's batted about .340 since well, about almost 5 weeks from now. As he got that ball up, not far enough inside, he turns on it, clears the hips, and pulls it through the the right side of the diamond.
Right-hander throwing in the pen for Arizona. Mott has been throwing for St. Louis.
Well, Stottlemyre Jr. is their pitching coach.
He's enjoyed watching Todd Stottlemyre compete when he was in St. Louis.
Competitor. That's, you know, when you say compete, or you know, that's a proper word for Stottlemyre.
Rasmus, can they get him? No. What does that mean? Pujols comes up. So base hit for Colby.
Yeah, John Roush warming up for the score 6-0. And tough play for Stephen Drew. Shows great range, but you see clearly safe at first base. They walked him earlier, but I think you're going to pitch to him in a 6-0 game. And remember, Zavada, who knows quite a bit about Albert Pujols, has a tendency to get right-handers out better than lefties.
As Albert will do, he'll take that first pitch for strike. Passes Ralph Kiner through 9 seasons with the most home runs, and Albert trying to make it a 3-home-run night. In the hole now, 0-2. As you mentioned, 6-0. There's really no reason not to pitch to Pujols here.
I mean, it's you know, you're still trying to win, but you're also at the situation is, you know, fans pay their money. It's sports / entertainment.
0-2. They are on their feet here at Busch Stadium.
No matter what happens in this outing, Zavada is never going to forget it. And what's it going to do to his confidence if he gets Albert out in this situation? You know, you make your pitchers better by giving them this opportunity to compete.
Oh, that's a tough pitch to take there.
And there's a lot of times when you have a hitter of Albert's caliber, they get the benefit of the doubt on those close pitches.
1-2 the count. And the next to Albert. High fly ball, left field, and it will not leave the park as he just got under it. Hit it a mile high. 6-0 St. Louis.
Hey, you got me. Tonight at Busch Stadium. Don't forget, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Rick Horton are at Lumiere Place. The Cardinals All-Star Shine tonight. We'll have that. Chris Carpenter in total control. And it's Friday night, so somebody gets a hungo. It's all coming up after the game. For now, we go back to Dan and Al, guys.
All right, thank you. And the Cardinals have themselves a 6-0 lead, so Mott is in the ball game, and that's it for Carpenter. A fastball and a strike.
A lot of hungo candidates tonight as you look at Jason Mott, 42nd appearance. His holds lead the ball club. ERA up there a little bit, but as part of that learning experience, and I think it's very important for him to get ninth innings like this, even though it's not a safe situation, but be a part of that handshake, you know, when you're on the mound getting the final 3 outs. Marty Foster, a home plate umpire, and out of common courtesy, as the ball went off of Foster, you kind of give him a little time to regroup. Umpires do that for catchers when they take a foul tip. Foster's had a good strike zone tonight. Was that a foul tip or he just missed it?
I'm almost sure it was a foul tip. Greg Hawk is the assistant trainer with the Cardinals and the medical team. Travels with the club, so keeping a watchful eye out on our home plate umpire. Oof. 1-2.
Pull your arm out of your socket, right?
Mark Reynolds at the plate. Reynolds tonight with a single, couple of singles last time up. Single then was picked up by Molina. Here's a 1-2. Good pitch taken for a ball, 2-2. And a strikeout.
Got it set up away. The ball's up and in. And swings through it. That's a 124 strikeout of the season for Reynolds. First of the night.
So Miguel Montero will be the hitter. 1 out, nobody on. Cardinals with a solo home run by Pujols in the 4th. Solo home run by Albert in the 6th. And Nick Stavinoa picked up a 2-run homer as well. Bases loaded single by Ludwig. That scored 2. Deep fly ball. Left field. And gone into the bullpen. So a home run. Montero picks up his 6th home run on a 1-0 pitch. And the Diamondbacks get on the board.
Throws a fastball, and Montero, who's one of the hotter hitters for the Diamondbacks, puts a good swing on it. Goes opposite field into the visitors' bullpen. Trevor Miller is getting up in the Cardinal bullpen. Dan, it was only fitting in Atlanta today with the Braves to win 11-0 on the night they retired Greg Maddox's uniform.
Yeah, how about that? A shutout for the Braves. One of the great Braves ever. One of the great pitchers ever, Greg Maddux.
Big night for Jim Thome. A pair of home runs and 7 RBIs for the White Sox.
A 1-1. To Albert. 2 outs. Chris Carpenter is our Budweiser player of the game. He could have gone with Ludwig, who were certainly Albert Pujols, Yadi Molina, but we'll give it to Carpenter tonight. 8 innings, 7 hits, walked 1, and 7 strikeouts.
Albert, big night. Schumacher with 3 hits. Ludwig had the big 2-run single. Yadi 4 for 4. Another pickoff at first. Stolen base.
Young has been hit by a pitch, a single in the 4th, and struck out in the 2nd. Popped up. Yadi gives it a look, and it's out of play in the seats.
Good way to start. Second half, as the Cardinals were looking to win their 50th game here, an 8 game over 500, and 70 games left to play after tonight.
He got him, and a strikeout from Mott. The Cardinals win it 6-1 and take game 1. Big night for Albert. Big night for the Redbirds. 6-1. Our final here tonight. Ludwig, a pair of RBIs, the 2 home runs for Albert.